Everybody.
Thanks for being here, Bruce. You too, Violet. Waiting for show number 2 to start. Here's the chocolates. This is a cool lantern. All our weapons.
All we need is just a nice motherly person.
Oh dear, I feel that is just exactly what I am.
It is!
Very well then, I will do my best. Come inside at once, you naughty children. I'm sure your feet are damp. And before I put you to bed, I have just time to finish the story of Cinderella.
A concise introduction of theatrical logic. In is down, down is front, out is up, up is back, off is out, on is in, and of course, right is left and left is right. A drop shouldn't and a block and a fall does neither. A prop doesn't and a cove has no water. Tripping is okay, a running crew rarely gets anywhere, a purchase line will buy you nothing, a trap will not catch anything, and a gridiron has nothing to do with football. A strike is work, in fact, a lot of work. And a green room, thank God, usually isn't. Now that you're fully versed in theatrical terms, break a leg. But not really.
Yeah. Here is my script. It's pink tabs for Mrs. Darling, blue for Smee, and, well, I had a lot of lines, which I was very nervous about.
Oh, Mary, will you look at this? Covered in hairs. Clumsy, clumsy.
Let me brush you down, dear.
Sometimes think it is a mistake to have a dog as a nurse.
George, Nana's a treasure.
No doubt. But I have an uneasy feeling at times that she looks upon the children as puppies.
Oh no, dear one. I'm sure she knows they have souls.
I have been inspired by watching movies and actors. And Karen, who plays Nebula, she did a little backstage behind the scenes of her day on set filming the third Guardians movie. And she showed herself listening to her own recording on her phone of the other people's lines, and then she would be da-da-da-da-da-da, saying her lines. And she would say it very quickly to kind of get her mouth going, but also because she was having to speak in an American accent. So it was extra challenging for her to just say it right as well as say the line. So I kind of took note from her and I recorded my stuff in chunks on my phone. And then I just repeatedly said it with myself, but then I also recorded with an empty space where I'm supposed to say my line.
Of crocodiles, but of that one crocodile. The brute liked my arm so much, Smee, that he's followed me ever since, from sea to sea, from land to land, licking his lips for the rest of me.
In a way, it is sort of a compliment. And I practiced over and over and over and over with that.
George, we must keep Nana. I'll tell you why. Tonight when I walked into this room, I saw a face in the window.
A face? At the window? 3 floors up?
It was the face of a little boy. He was trying to get in.
It felt a little bit like learning to play music. There was a phrase and then it would end, and it had a rhythm to it, and so I kind of just repeated those rhythmic phrases 3 to 5 times in a row until it became more like muscle memory in my mouth, and also it finally came to where I didn't have to think about it so hard. It just automatically would be spit out. Most of them. Some of the wording is different because it's, you know, early 1900s and in England, and words that I had to look up because I do not know what luff means. So that was one of the tactics I used, my phone, when I was driving in the car or waiting for picking up a kid or just being here alone. I just made sure to try to run through every act almost every day. And then the other thing that my director gave me some tips about was to write down the person's lines just before mine and then also write down mine. So I could remember the cue of, just before what I say, what happens or who's saying what.
George, it's not the first time I've seen that boy.
Oh?
The first time was a week ago. It was Nana's night out, and I was drowsing here by the fire when suddenly I felt a draught as if the window were open. I looked round and I saw that boy in the room.
In the room?
So I did Mrs. Darling's, of course, in pink. And sometimes it's easier to just read through this than read through the whole script because there's a lot of italics describing stuff. I think it's because J.M. Barrie wrote the play first. And he had a lot of world building, a lot of things in his mind that he had to convey, so we put it in italics. And then he wrote the book. So he just needed to write the book.
I see them in their beds so often in my dreams that I seem still to see them when I'm awake. I'll not look again.
I decided to wear glasses for Smee, and I decided to take off my glasses for Mary, just to have a little difference.
He's only one, and I want to mischief all 7. Scatter and look for them.
And then the other thing is to act with your arms till they feel ridiculous, because a lot of people just stand there with their arms down at their sides, and it's just really boring. I actually used arm motions to try to remember some of my lines. He flew towards the window. I needed to do that with my hands.
I screamed. Just then, Nana came back and she at once sprang at him. The boy leapt for the window. She pulled the sash down quickly but was too late to catch him.
I thought so.
Try saying your lines, walking around as if you would be on the stage. From the chair to the couch to the wherever you go, just kind of keep those motions in your body.
Michael, it's your medicine.
Won't take it.
Be a man, Michael.
Won't.
I'll get you a lovely chalky to take after you.
Don't hammer them, Mary.
Oh yeah, and then what really helped, the tech booth guy who's learning to act as well, he was very dedicated, and we met extra times a week at the theater because there was other things going on there, but we'd pick a room and we'd just run through stuff extra times during the week because we just needed extra help. It also really helped to establish relationship between Hook and Smee, or George and Mary, and how they would interact with each other, and the extra little nuances of either comedic actions or just all those touches that make it feel more real.
I don't know how to describe it. Like a ball of light no bigger than my fist, and yet it darted about the room like a living thing.
It is unusual. It escaped with the boy?
Yes. George, what can all this mean?
What indeed?
And I'm really grateful for Jared's dedication to work as hard as he did. Yeah, we shared this journey together, and I'm so glad to have a new friend out of it. Hello, I am here with my new old friend, Jared Samuelson.
Hello.
And I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, tell me about yourself.
I am a father of 2 girls, adult children, and I help out at Lovegood doing sound and lighting design. And I work at Intel.
Yeah.
I've been there for 22 years.
What do you
Besides work, hobbies. I'm a runner. I'm a marathoner. And I like to play with technology, lighting and sound, and other things. I like to engineer and build things, so to solve simple problems.
How did you find Lovegood?
So my youngest daughter went to school with one of the board members' daughters, and they needed help with sound, and I didn't know anything about Lovegood, and they called one day and asked if I would come take a look, and that just started a great relationship with everyone there. So
Cool. And so what was the first show that you helped out on?
first show I did was Cinderella,
That was actually our first show we went and watched, me and my kids.
Oh, uh-huh.
So who did you closely work with first there?
So Nathan is the one who brought me in, and then Brooke had kind of interviewed me. It was a little intimidating. Brooke can be intimidating at times. So I work directly with Brooke mostly.
Yeah, she's quite the character too.
She is. She's a lot of fun. After you get to know her, she's not as intimidating.
My arms are not quite
not long enough.
But that's okay. So after you got involved there, who or what kept you coming back to Lovegood?
Just everybody there, the staff, and also the students were just great. I went home after working on Cinderella and told my wife that I had found my people. So
nice.
I just love being involved in everyone there, and they gave me the creative freedom to put my own spin on things. So that's kind of what I needed, I think.
Yeah. A creative outlet.
Creative outlet, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Hey, same here. Why in the world did you audition for Peter Pan?
I know. So sometimes I run with Grace about once a week or so. We were running the morning of auditions, and she was telling me that they didn't have many adults that were on the audition list for Peter Pan.
Right, because it was a kids class.
It was a kids class, yeah.
But then they also hybrided, like inviting adults to audition.
Yeah, and I don't know how well that was put out for everyone.
Yeah, not as many people knew.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah. So, so she brought up the idea, and I thought about it, and then I was tired, and
you had a weak moment.
I
was tired from running.
Yeah, I was exhausted, and so like all day I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then the next minute I'd be like, yeah, I should do it. And then finally, like an hour before auditions were starting, I went in and filled out the audition form, and had to find a monologue real quick. So my daughter helped me find a monologue, and we rehearsed it for all of 45 minutes, and then went in and did the audition. So I was so far out of my comfort zone, and I was terrified, and I walked out shaking, and so.
Wow. So what did you maybe think would happen or expect out of if you got in?
I didn't know. I just there's things in my life that I just think one step at a time, basically, and then don't think about the second step. So that's kind of where I was.
Just don't think about it. Just do this part.
Just do this part, and once it's over, then deal with what comes later.
Oh, wow. You're brave.
Sometimes that's the only way to get past things. So.
True.
Oh, helpful audition do's and don'ts. I looked that up. My audition, let me tell you, I memorized the Cowardly Lion speech from Wizard of Oz, and I worked on it for 3 days straight, and then I was rehearsing it all the way there. I had it down, and then when I got into audition, I said the first line and then blank, and then I said the next line and then blank, and then I stumbled through it. I made it through, but I was really disappointed with myself, and I almost said, I'm so disappointed. I quickly stopped myself and just was like, thank you for this opportunity, because that felt awful. But you know, Brooke was gracious, and I'm glad she could see beyond that and let me be part of the show. So that was awesome.
So to me, it felt like you were a little bit like maybe a non-swimmer, and Brooke and Grace kind of nudged you towards the edge of a cliff saying, oh, come on, you can do it, yeah. So then you jumped.
I jumped.
Were there sharks in the water too?
Yeah, I would say there were. Of course, first rehearsal, when I met everybody, Of course, I was absolutely terrified. I often think people notice things that, of course, they don't. So,
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, people don't watch you as much as you think they do, or dwell on things, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of in their own worlds too, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
More than we realize.
Yeah. And then, knowing that some of them are just as nervous as you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then realizing that they're there for kind of the same thing as well, and that brings commonality.
That's true.
So it took probably a week or two of rehearsals to kind of start feeling a little more comfortable, to be able to come out of my shell a little bit. So
That's cool.
I'd never done anything like that before. I'd never acted. I'd always, been involved on the other side, which I loved.
So you were kind of comfortable in the place of Good, but not so much on the stage.
Yes, very comfortable, but I didn't like to be noticed. I like to be in the background. So even when Brooke or Grace would call me out in front of the cast at a show, I was so far out of my comfort zone. I hated being called out and having eyes on me. So, yeah.
Michael, when I was your age, I used to take my medicine without a murmur. I would say, "Thank you, kind parents, for giving me bottles to make me well."
How did you feel about getting your roles? Tell me about your roles.
I figured those would be the roles that, if I got any role, those would be it. Just being, male and, Mr. Darling. And so looking through the script that was handed to me at callback, I realized how many lines there were, and was a little afraid of that, but was up for the challenge. Again, I just kind of take it one step at a time. So when I got the roles, I was just like, all right, here we go.
So how did you prepare then?
The biggest challenge, I think, for me initially was just all of the lines, learning the lines, knowing how to learn the lines. So I found a piece of software. You record all of the lines into it, and then you mark them as self or other, and then it listens for your line for a keyword, and then it will read the others. So that helped tremendously.
And it's voice activated, and
it's all voice activated. It listens for the keyword. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun trying to use it with you, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't hear us, so we're like shouting their line so it would move on.
Yeah. If you're using it just yourself, it actually works pretty well. But for two people, it didn't work. For me, so.
It was worth a try.
It was worth a try.
I know. I appreciated Brooke's tips on how to memorize.
Yeah.
What seemed to work for you?
Just repetition.
Yeah.
Mostly, and then once I got the repetition, then I could kind of start trying to work my character into it. So yeah, that would be, I think, the second challenge was character development, trying to figure out, who is Hook and who is Mr. Darling, and they gave us a lot of great worksheets to try to help develop those things. Just asking questions like, personality traits and...
All right, so tell me all about Mr. Darling. Tell me about his character.
Yeah, Mr. Darling is, I would say, probably your typical... There's a good branch, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that.
Do you want to stop?
Sure.
So, I was delighted that I got to be Mrs. Darling, and I did a character study on her. I said Mrs. Darling was in her young 30s, because back in the 1900s, people didn't live as long. They probably married younger and had children. And my daily routine, she had a servant named Liza, and then, well, they couldn't afford a real nurse, so they had a dog named Nana as a nurse. So, what in the world did Mrs. Darling do? So during this, I think it's Victorian age, they had things to do like read books and draw
and sew things, or probably crochet or embroider. Theaters and music halls, libraries. She did love to read. She was reading to her children out of the story Cinderella. Museums, art galleries, seaside towns, croquet, lawn tennis. So this was the industrial age. So there was a huge expansion of middle class. There were new novelties from factories. Oh, so I'm thinking maybe Mary Darling loved to go out and window shop, or actually shop. So what used to be only for aristocrats, now they were on show in every middle class home. They also recognized childhood as a distinct and precious time in life. So Queen Victoria and her beloved Albert and their 9 children were idealized. So, yeah, what did Mary Darling do every day? Well, she loved to watch her children play. So having her servant and her Nana enabled her to spend more time with her children, playing with them, reading with them. She probably went out to the library when her children were in school. And she probably overall kept charge of her household. I'd say she practices piano. She enjoys playing music. I decided I wanted her to be more dancer-like, poised, kind of a gliding walk, kind of ballet-ish. Since I take ballet, sure, I can use it. So her general body movement was gentle, but also a bit worried. So yeah, I had this like worried kind of stance for her sometimes. One thing I learned from Brooke is where people lead from when they move, when they walk. Some people lead with their head. Some people move forward from the hips. Some people lead with their hearts. So I decided, yes, I want Mary to lead with her heart.
Peter, where are you? Let me adopt you too.
Would you send me to school
Yes,
and then to an office?
I suppose so.
Soon I should be a man.
Very soon.
I don't want to go to school and learn solemn things. No one is going to catch me, lady, and make me a man. I want always to be a little boy and to have fun.
Mary Darling is self-assured. She's bright and thoughtful, playful. She's curious, yielding, and also youthful. This is something I gleaned from more description of her in the book. She's wild on the inside, but she's reserved on the outside as an adult. She loves things organized and tidy. That's why she loves Nana, because Nana does all of that for her. She is resourceful. In the book, she was making up her own nursery with hammer and nails the way she wanted it, and she cut up her wedding dress and made covers and pillowcases and stuff for her children's beds. I guess they weren't like wealthy. They were making ends meet a little, but. So what does Mary really want? Really want? I said to experience and keep the youthful joys of childhood, be it through watching my children, reading exciting stories to them, playing with them, using my imagination, and believing in fairies and Peter Pan. In the end, of course. What motivates me? Motherly love. My inner youthful joy and wildness, and also care and respect for.
What sort of day have you had, George?
We're never fewer than 100 running around the cab. When we passed the stock exchange, the members came out and waved.
I'm so proud, George.
Okay.
All right, so
Tell me about Mr. Darling.
Mr. Darling, I think was probably a typical 1920s father. He almost demanded respect from the family, was very proper.
That medicine you sometimes take is much nastier, isn't it, Father?
Oh, ever so much nastier. And I would take it now as an example to you, Michael, if I hadn't lost the bottle.
I know where it is, Father. I'll fetch it.
It's the most beastly stuff. It's that sweet, sticky kind.
Never mind, Father.
It will be over soon.
Here it is, Father. I've been as quick as I could.
You have been wonderfully quick. Precious quick.
Michael, now you will see how Father takes it.
Michael first.
father first.
It will make me sick, you know.
Come on, Father.
Hold your tongue, sir.
I thought you took it quite easily, Father, saying, "Thank you, kind parents, for making..."
That is not the point.
But I think he adored Mrs. Darling.
It would not be such celebrities had the children not flown away.
George, you're sure you're not enjoying it?
Enjoying it? You see my punishment? Living in a kennel?
Forgive me, dear one.
It is I who need forgiveness. Always I, never you. I'm tired. Will you play me to sleep on the nursery piano? And shut that window, Mary dearest. I feel a draft.
George, never ask me to do that again. The window must always be left open for them. Always. Always.
The kennel is a trunk behind the sofa, and it's too small, so
He'd curl up.
he
on
had
the
to
thing.
curl up and prop himself and lay there for a long time.
Poor guy.
And I was like, that's actually impressive at how
Yeah.
visible he can become.
And adored his children as well.
He had a funny way of showing it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not fair. I swear as though it were my last breath. It is not fair.
Father, I'm waiting.
It's very well to say you are waiting. So am I waiting.
Father's a cowardly custard.
No, you are a cowardly custard.
I think it tied in at the end when the children came back, and then finally Mr. Darling, embraced his kids and his family and realized, I guess, what family, really is.
Yeah, don't know just how much you love or miss something until it's gone.
Yeah.
And
Children?
having the children gone.
Yeah. But I think, sometimes in life you just kind of get in routine. And so those things, I think for Mr. Darling, just became routine. He would go to the office, and then he would come home, and then he would maybe have a dinner party, and then, he was just kind of in this routine. So showing love for his family was maybe just routine at that point.
And yet, he seemed to have a playful side too, like...
I think though, the playful side of Mr. Darling were kind of on his terms.
Mm-hmm.
He liked to joke around, and his jokes were, funny to him, but maybe not to everyone else.
Yeah, the poor children are
Yeah.
traumatized,
Yeah.
thinking they're going to be thrown out into the street.
Yeah.
Mary, I warn you that unless this tie is around my neck, then we don't go to dinner tonight. And if we don't go to dinner tonight, then I don't go to the office again. And if I don't go to the office again, you and I starve. And the children will be thrown into the streets.
Let me try, dear.
But I think the children, they like to play around a little bit too. The scene with, Michael and the medicine was kind of fun. Mr. Darling was, kind of playfully going back and forth with Michael.
I'm not frightened.
Neither am I frightened.
Well, then take it.
Well, then you take it.
Why not both take it at the same time?
And then, of course, it ended up, Michael was upset and crying, and so went a little too far, maybe.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Father hasn't taken his.
Oh, Father.
What do you mean by, oh, Father? Michael, stop that row. I would have taken it, but I missed it.
According to the book, Mrs. Darling was the gayest in the family. She would pirouette very wildly during the family rompings. What obstacles and challenges does she face? How does she overcome them? My husband's temper. He needs attention.
I refuse to allow that dog to lord it in this nursery for 1 hour longer. In vain. In vain. The proper place for you is in the yard, to be tied up this instant.
George, remember what I told you about that boy.
Am I master of this house, or is she? Come along.
So I just let him express himself, offer a calm voice of reason, add emotional balm to the children and Nana, and just do damage control.
Great, my dear.
He's chaining it up.
She's awfully unhappy.
Oh, how I wish I were not going out to dinner tonight.
Can anything harm us, Mother, after the night lights are lit?
Nothing, precious. They are the eyes a mother leaves behind to guard her children.
Another obstacle or challenge is My children fly away. So what I do is I stay close to the window and I grieve and I wait.
So often their silver voices call to me. My little children, whom I'll see no more.
Some emotions you just feel like you don't want, so you try to stuff them, and they're not okay. But no, it's exhausting to me, but to have to go through the tragedy of losing my kids is hard for me.
Yeah, I didn't get to experience that scene because I was either laying on a very uncomfortable trunk or wasn't on stage. So looking back at it, you felt it, especially with your character. Like you portrayed that so well.
I was close to crying.
Yeah. And I think the audience was too. Like, it came across.
Okay, that was the hope. The hope for me was just to share Mary's truth. I didn't want to make people cry, but just to be Mary at that moment, sit in it, and I guess sort of aware that people were sitting in and listening in on that situation, but trying not to think about anyone else but my kids.
Mother!
That is Wendy.
Mother!
Now it is John.
Mother!
Now Michael. And when they call, I stretch out my arms to them, but they never come. They never come.
When my children do come back, Wendy wants to leave again right away. And so I establish loving boundaries.
You will be rather lonely in the evenings, Peter. I shall have Tink. Mother, may I go?
Certainly not. I have got you home again, and I intend to keep you.
But he does so need a mother.
So do you, my love.
Oh, all right.
But I don't fully hold too tightly. I do want to let her go back and visit him for once a year. Some key relationships I have. Mr. Darling, I love and respect him even though we can be so different. Wendy, my sweet daughter, I love her and I understand her romantic mind. John, I love my son, and he is just figuring out how to be a man like his father. Michael, he's the baby, and I dote on him. Nana, she's like family to us. Liza, I do like, but she is a hired servant. I am grateful for her good help, and it frees up my time to be with my children more. Peter Pan is the child I've always known, but I've grown up a little too much to be able to actually see him anymore. He gives flight to my inner wild child. He reminds me of the intense joy and fierce boldness within me. As a human, one goal I had for myself in this entire show process was to bond with my family through this show. So I feel like I got to do a little of that. Just being more mindful of being playful with them. Also having Violet and Bruce join on for Run Crew, so they helped out. And of course David taking photos and videos, and Katie helping out too. It was fun to talk about the show afterwards and to just enjoy it all together.
Can't I go down for just a minute?
No.
Good night, Peter. Good night, Wendy. Peter, you won't forget about me, will you?
Yeah, it was pretty sad.
No promises.
Okay, well,
I'll try not to, but I can't help it because I'm just a little boy.
I can't help it because I'm just Peter Pan and I don't remember things. Yeah.
I'm a very rude.
Well, in the book, he does come back, but not every year. Sometimes he does forget. This is rehearsal. There's like 3 people clapping out there.